the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
First at 11, President Trump is back at the White House tonight and is already tweeting videos and messages.
But there are still many questions about his health. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has the latest from Washington.
Having returned to the White House, President Trump is once again downplaying the threat of the coronavirus, even after he spent 3 nights in the hospital getting treated for COVID-19. President Trump departed Walter Reed Medical Center this evening, within minutes of arriving back, taking off his mask on the White House balcony. President Trump tweeting he's feeling really good, and despite undergoing experimental treatments, needing supplemental oxygen, and stating in a video Sunday that he gets it, the president saying, "Don't be afraid of COVID, don't let it dominate your life." Those words unlikely to resonate with the families of the more than 210,000 Americans who've died from the disease. Joe Biden making that point tonight, appearing on NBC for a town hall event.
210,000 people have died. You have, about 1,000 people a day getting the coronavirus, 50,000 a week. I mean, so it's a great concern. I hope no one walks away with the message thinking that it is not a problem. It's a serious problem.
After sending mixed messages about the president's health, the White House physician giving the president the all clear to leave the hospital.
Though he may not entirely be out of the woods yet, the team and I agree that all our evaluations, and most importantly, his clinical status, support the president's safe return home, where he'll be surrounded by world-class medical care 24/7.
Returning to a White House that is now its own COVID hotspot. In total, 18 people who were around the White House and President Trump now have COVID-19. Among them, Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, who briefed reporters as recently as Sunday without wearing a mask. Sources now telling ABC News staffers at the White House are fearful and anxious amid the COVID outbreak. Before he even left the hospital tonight, President Trump said he'll be back on the campaign trail soon. The Trump campaign tells ABC News the president intends to participate in next week's debate with Joe Biden. Biden saying he looks forward to debating President Trump. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Walter Reed Medical Center in Maryland.
Here in Indiana, some pandemic indicators are trending in the wrong direction. According to the State Department of Health, 1,019 COVID patients were in the hospital across Indiana as of yesterday. It is the first time since August 5th that more than 1,000 people in the state were hospitalized with the virus. ISDH also reporting 835 new positive cases since Friday, and there were 7 newly reported deaths over the weekend, bringing the total in Indiana to 3,454 since the pandemic began in March. A reminder, anyone who lives or works in Indiana can get a free COVID test. You can register by going to lhi.care/COVID testing or by calling this number 888-634-1116.
So here's where things stand at this hour when it comes to the president's COVID diagnosis and the outbreak linked to the Rose Garden ceremony to introduce his Supreme Court nominee. The only debate between Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris is still scheduled for Wednesday in Salt Lake City. Vice President Pence attended the Rose Garden ceremony, but reportedly continues to test negative for the virus. Today, organizers announced a plexiglass divider will separate the candidates, who will also stand 12 feet apart while on stage. And despite 2 members of the Senate Judiciary Committee testing positive for COVID, Supreme Court confirmation hearings will proceed as planned. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell moved to postpone in-person votes by 2 weeks, but did not recommend any changes to the hearing schedule for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. Now, the process is set to start 1 week from today. Democrats are calling for hearings to be pushed back to protect the health and safety of lawmakers and staffers.
You still have time to register to vote online. You can do so right now at indianavoters.in.gov. The deadline is midnight. Then starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow, early voting will begin in Indiana. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker reports as voting gets underway, the push to educate voters grows stronger.
I'm voting in this election because I think it's really important to let my voice be heard, and I hope everyone feels that same way.
Riley Hill Cartel was out Monday night at Greater Indy Habitat Young Professionals event focused on educating young voters.
Young people as a generation, from what I've experienced, are very fired up, I think, about this year. And I think we have a lot to say. And by voting, you get to say that on, a national platform.
Because it was a Habitat for Humanity event celebrating World Habitat Day, voting was discussed in the context of housing.
Every single politician is going to be voting for things in their legislatures that have to do with housing.
That's Megan Heber. She organized this event and says the pandemic has only made the housing crisis worse, which is really impacting young people, a generation of folks who've dealt with stagnant wages and fewer job opportunities than those who came before them, according to the Economic Policy Institute, an independent nonprofit think tank.
We really are encouraging voters to read up on their elected officials and talk to their elected officials about the issues that matter to them, specifically housing.
Riley tells me it just makes sense to encourage young people to vote.
The more young people that come out, the more our voices are going to be heard for the next 4 years and really the rest of our lives.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
On your screen are some of the early voting sites that are slated to open tomorrow across central Indiana. Early voting will run from tomorrow until November 2nd, the day before the election day. But hours and dates depend on location, so be sure to check your county's election board. To vote early, you need an ID issued by the state of Indiana, an Indiana state school, or the U.S. government.
Tomorrow, we will learn where some of Indiana's candidates stand on issues at an event organized by new immigrants and diverse faith leaders. ACT Indiana, an organization founded by Faith in Indiana, is hosting an online forum. They will focus on 3 main issues: healthcare, COVID relief, and pathways to citizenship. Anyone in the community is encouraged to participate.
We have to understand that immigrants are a part of every Hoosier aspect of life. Immigrants are essential workers. Immigrants are the people that are taking care of our roads. Immigrants are the people taking care of our homes and everything that we can think about. And I think they deserve a voice because we are not, a border state, they're often forgotten and they are put on the back burner and they really don't have anyone. But I think it's very important for them to have a representation and to have a voice because they are truly a part of our Hoosier community.
5th District candidate Christina Hale and State Senate candidate Fadi Kadora will participate. Their opponents, Victoria Spartz and John Ruckelshaus, declined their invitations. The virtual candidate forum, called We Make the Future, starts at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. You can register at actindiana.org/OCT6 And for everything you need to know about the candidates on your ballot, early voting, and more, go to the Vote in 2020 digital section of our website, WRTV.com.
Now to the forecast. WRTV Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joining us now, tracking some more warm and sunny days ahead. Hey, Kevin.
That's easy to say, isn't it? Warm and sunny, and that'll roll on most of the week. We'll define warm in just a second. It's 48 in Kokomo. May not find 45 in Shelbyville warm, but warmer than it was last night. Let's talk about how we're going to change things a bit. First thing in the morning, should not have frost. Temperatures in the low 40s. By the time we get to noon, about 64. All in all, about 10 degrees warmer during the day tomorrow. Another change. It will be windier both tomorrow and on Wednesday. We'll hold on to the sunshine and nudge our way above 70 degrees, 72 for the high. We'll talk about a tropical system. Will it have an impact on Indiana? And the temperature trend right on through the weekend. We'll do that shortly.
There are no reports of any major issues today after some Indianapolis public school students returned to classrooms for the first time this school year. IPS shared video from inside school. Students wore masks while working at their desks or grabbing their lunches. The district is staggering the return to in-person learning. Pre-K through 3rd graders start this week. 4th through 12th grade students will start phasing in on the 19th.
Workers who fear their industry is being forgotten in the pandemic continues, and they're calling on Congress for help.
We are the invisible workforce because we are behind the scenes.
The International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees organized a rally in downtown Indianapolis today. The group represents stagehands, wardrobe workers, sound technicians, and more. They pushed empty equipment carts, symbolizing the lack of concerts, performances, conventions, and similar events that have put them out of work.
Over 83,000 people in this community rely on tourism for a paycheck. And at this point in time, more than half of those are unemployed.
We would love to go back. We want to go back. We don't want the unemployment. We don't want the FEMA. We want to go back.
Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett is also calling on Congress to act. Last week, he announced details of a hospitality industry grant to help business owners pay rent or mortgages. It does not provide direct relief for workers.
A truck driver accused of causing a crash that killed 3 people, including a 1-year-old child, is no longer facing reckless homicide charges. A Boone County judge dismissed the charges against Matthew Small in connection to the January wreck on I-65 in Whitestown. The judge granted a motion to dismiss, saying there was not enough evidence that Small committed a crime. Small told police he looked away from the road to set his coffee mug down when he ran into slowing traffic. The chain reaction crash killed 19-year-old Caden Kirk, 21-year-old Mariah Tomey, and 1-year-old and Hadley Tomey. Prosecutors are looking into if any additional evidence would allow them to refile charges.
There's new groups of people that, they were making it before, but they were right on that edge and are now struggling.
Still ahead, how the pandemic is making a dental care crisis even worse.
Coming up, organizers of a mobile pantry share a message for those who may be struggling to put food on the table for the first time.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
A few minutes ago, we showed you how a Habitat for Humanity event doubled as a change to encourage young people to vote. It was held at the newest Greater Indy Habitat Restore. It is set to open at the end of October. It'll be the organization's 5th and largest store in the area. It will help to raise money to keep their work going on in the community.
The Habitat Restore is a huge part of our mission here in Greater Indy. Every donated dollar to our mission goes straight to programming because the Habitat Restore is able to cover all of our admin costs.
Habitat for Humanity is always accepting donations. The Greater Indy chapter has helped 800 local homeowners build their own homes.
Social distancing, isolation, and financial concerns can take a big toll on our mental health. The Rebound Indiana is sharing ideas to help you cope, and sometimes that includes finding a happy place. For many Hoosiers, P&D Flower Farm on the northeast end of Johnson County is that place. While the pandemic and shutdowns impacted the farm's events and weddings, its You Pick Flower Farm has been more popular than ever. The family who owns the farm tells us people can get out of their houses, spread out on the property, and focus on finding beautiful flowers instead of the stresses of daily life. The owners say creating this safe space is rewarding.
We want people to feel safe. We want people to have fun and do something that's halfway normal and get out of this craziness of the world right now.
Wildflower season is coming to an end, but P&D is planning events like calligraphy, wreath and garland making classes for the cold months. For more info and to see pictures from our day at the farm, go to WRTV.com/rebound. And I know Lauren Casey took some beautiful pictures from that farm. And Kevin, you knew I was in California this past week and it was over 100 degrees. So coming back to the cold this morning was quite a shocker.
That's the way it works. The heat's out west, we get the Canadian air flowing in here, so you get both extremes. Welcome back. How about that? Well, you mentioned wildflower season almost over, flower season about to end. It won't be as cold tomorrow morning. There were spots down in the upper 20s this morning. Terre Haute, for example, 30 in Bloomington, Indianapolis at 34. It will not be as cool tomorrow morning. Let's talk about some highlights here. Next several days, warming trend. Temperatures will peak Wednesday, but even when they cool down, we'll still be in the 70s. Next couple of days, we'll talk about wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour, but get used to clear nights and sunny days. Remember I mentioned the national weather story? By the end of the work week, another hurricane will threaten the Gulf Coast. All indications are Hurricane Delta have winds of around 100 miles per hour as it makes landfall somewhere Houston to New Orleans or to the Florida Peninsula. Still to be determined. Also, the impact on Indiana right now looks to be minimal, maybe some clouds. We'll keep our eye on that, but most of the forecast keeping moisture south of the Hoosier State. Temperature trend, since there's no rain in the forecast, we can Concentrate on the thermometer. Temperatures we mentioned on Wednesday, the warmest. Almost 80 degrees. I think some spots will hit 80. South of Indy will take a little hit and cool back down Thursday. Remember, this morning we had the frost. Tomorrow morning, not quite as cool. Noticeably warmer Wednesday morning. That's because of the south wind that will have kicked in for a good 24 hours by then. It's a warmer, stronger wind, and that'll take our temperatures, as we mentioned, above average tomorrow and set the stage for a larger jump on Tuesday. We add all that, but we don't take away much. We hold on to all that sunshine with the temperatures in the low to mid 70s. I mentioned this tomorrow night, and I'll go over this during the early news as well, but at 8:37, about 30 degrees above the horizon, you'll see the space station. It's a white light that moves across the sky. It'll pass about 50 degrees above the horizon. There's an even better opportunity to see that Wednesday, but again, I'll update you tomorrow evening and Wednesday in the early news. Wednesday temperatures almost 80 degrees. 7-day planner, plan on more sunshine, plan on dry conditions right on through the end of the week. These overnight lows will not be as cool as they have been, and they'll be as warm at times as the 50s, as you can see. Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning in the lower 50s. High temperatures each day at 70 or above. The question is right here. Will we hit 80 or not? To be determined.
We will see. All right. Thank you, Kevin, for that. Cars and food filled the parking lot at Lucas Oil Stadium this afternoon. And no, this isn't an off-day tailgate. It's a mobile food pantry. The Colts and Gleaners teamed up to provide meals to the community. Players helped to load cars with enough food to feed a family for about a week. Sarah Estelle with Gleaners says many people are facing new struggles due to the pandemic.
We have a lot of families during the pandemic that are in this position for the first time. We've estimated about 40% of them have never needed food assistance before, and so that can be a frightening situation to find yourself in, don't know how to navigate the system, reluctant to ask for help. So hopefully we can make it a little bit fun with being able to see the players and be out here, but really the purpose is just to feed people.
If you missed today's event, the Colts will host a mobile food pantry at Lucas Oil Stadium every Monday in October. The Colts are officially on a winning streak. They'll be looking to make it 4 victories in a row this Sunday in Cleveland. WRTV's Brad Brown shows us how the defense is leading the way.
Perhaps they're a modern-day Monsters of the Midway, just a little further south on I-65. The Colts defense has been, over the past 3 games at least, the best in the NFL. They did it again on Sunday with a solid showing against the Bears.
Coach Flus, Coach Frank, they brought in a culture of, we're going to play fundamentally sound defensively, and I really believe in that. I really believe in what they're doing. And I think we have all the guys on the team that buys into that's special. And I think that's what we have brewing over here right now.
Outside of a late Chicago touchdown, it was a total shutdown by the Indy D. Held the Bears to just a single field goal and less than 200 yards over the first 3 quarters. Only 28 rushing yards for the entire game.
When you play in a defense that, sets you up, to, make plays and, keep, everybody on the same page. That's the main thing. You want to have everybody on the same page. So when you're on the same page, guys are able to fly around and execute.
The biggest thing that stood out to me in training camp was how fast everybody is running to the football. I mean, if you see some of those guys cut back and it's like, oh, one got missed. Oh, look, there might be something. There's another, and there's another, and there's another. I mean, the guys are relentless.
The secondary continues to thrive. Rookie Julian Blackmon, the latest to add a first to his resume. His first interception took likely points off the board for the Bears in the 4th quarter.
I feel like, there's a lot more work to be done. I wasn't always in the best spots that I could have been in, and I was just thankful to take one away because I should have had one earlier in the game, but I didn't go get it, so I'm glad that I got my back.
The Colts' offense continues to be underwhelming at times. They did manage 5 scoring drives on Sunday, but 4 of those ended in field goals. Struggles in the red zone and some big plays that just missed led to those results.
I
think the cool thing about this team, as I'm learning and finding out, as we're finding out together, is that I think we can win in a lot of different ways. And I think that will be key for us moving forward.
Next up, a trip to Cleveland. The Browns scoring more than 30 points per game. They got 49 on Sunday at Dallas. Explosive playmakers are sure to challenge Indy's fast-moving defensive unit.
I know everybody knows this team. There's no stars, right? There's great players. Darius is a great player, but, we like to talk about there are no stars. We want great players. We want to be a great team.
Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Millions of Americans cannot afford to see a dentist right now after losing their jobs and insurance. A lack of dental care was part of a health crisis long before COVID. Scripps reporter Chris Conte takes a closer look at why doctors are so concerned and how some are stepping up to help.
How are you today, sir?
If a smile changes everything, you can understand why Anna Eubanks cares so deeply about her teeth.
Because that's part of my health, That's part of your health.
But affording a trip to the dentist is often as painful as a cavity. Both Anna and her husband are among the millions of Americans who do not have dental insurance.
You do think about it. It's just you hope you never have to go there, that you never have to use it.
There were great disparities that existed in the American healthcare system long before COVID hit. The last few months have only made things worse.
You think you can put it off, and it just catches up with you eventually.
Dr. Rhonda Switzer-Nadassi oversees Interfaith Dental in Nashville, Tennessee, a nonprofit made up of dentists who volunteer their time so that people like Anna Eubanks can get care at little or no cost, a need more critical now than ever.
So there's new groups of people that, they were making it before, but they were right on that edge and are now struggling.
Here's why she says that. Since February, an estimated 12 million Americans have lost their health care coverage. Most lost their insurance when they lost their job. Compare that to the number of people without dental coverage, which is now closer to 40 million.
COVID exposed further. We are all in this together. Your health affects my health.
This clinic that typically sees about 3,000 patients a year has seen call volume increase 20%.
And we're also seeing such an increased need for people that are suffering from job loss, where they may have had 3 jobs and are now down to 1 or down to none.
Nationwide, there's also a backlog for dental care.
Is this symptomatic?
In this office alone, they were canceling 1,000 appointments a month during the shutdown, something that especially worries Dr. Switzer-Nadassi during COVID, because most dentists are also checking a patient's overall health.
Most of the people that come see us don't need just a checkup and a cleaning. Most of the time they have reached, the end of their rope of trying to find services, and what they need has become critical.
But for now, they are doing their best to help whoever they can and preserve as many smiles as possible.
It's kind of like the weather. You have to adjust yourself for that, like you got to adjust yourself to God's weather.
In Nashville, I'm Chris Conte.
And if you need dental work but cannot afford it, you may be eligible for the Dental Lifeline Network's Donated Dental Services Program. Applicants must lack adequate income to pay for dental care and fall into one of these categories: have a permanent disability, age 65 or older, or qualify as medically fragile. For more info, go to dentallifeline.org or call 317-733-0585. We'll be right back after this.
And we'll serve up more sunshine, not just Tuesday, but tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday as well. The day to watch, temperatures close to 80 degrees on Wednesday. That's almost summer warmth in fall. Amanda?
Just going back and forth. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for making WRTV your choice for news.